Rabbi Michael Issachar Ankwa, Zecher Tzedek Libracha, great rabbi of his time, chief rabbi of Morocco, I believe 5th chief rabbi of Morocco. He was born in the year 1895. He passed away in the English year 1972. He'll be also a head of Jewish court of the rabbis of his vicinity at various points in time. He was born actually in an area called Sela, a place we've spoken about on various occasions before here in the series, in Morocco in 1895, right towards the end of the 19th century. And I think he passed away on Rosh Chodesh Adar in 1972. So we're talking about here from time of recording about 53 and a half years ago. He didn't just work in Sela, he also worked in Rabat as a rabbi, and he'd be the chief rabbi of Morocco between 1964 to 1972, sandwiched in between Rabbi Shaul ibn Danan and Rabbi Shalom Meshash, two really great rabbis. So the great rabbi was born in Sela in Morocco, and I think he was an only son to the great rabbi Raphael Ankwa. Very interesting enough. And I think he had two sisters, if I'm not mistaken. I'll say what it says here in Hebrew. It says, Nolad b'Salash Morocco ben Yachid mebein shtei banot Rav Raphael Ankwa, Rav Harashi shel Morocco. Now remember, Rav Raphael Ankwa, his father, was, I think, the first chief rabbi of Morocco. Interesting enough. Now his mother was a daughter of Rabbi Yitzchak Atzra'af, another great rabbi we've spoken about before on this series. And when he came about, it was apparent, the brilliance he's going to come from really great rabbinic story, if I'm not mistaken. As it says up here, Al leidato mesupar ki lachash aviv nish'al madua ein lo ben mamshir bikeh b'kivro shel Rabbi Amram ben Diwan v'itpalel shiveled lo ben. I think his father, Rabbi Raphael Ankwa, would go to the Kebba to daven to have a son, and they would have him. They would go to the Kebba of Rabbi Amram ben Diwan, really, really great rabbi of his time. Now, when he was young, he would learn Torah under the auspices of his father, I believe, and I think later on his Torah brilliance became apparent, and he'd be appointed alongside Rabbi Shaul ibn Danan to become, let's say, a deputy of the great rabbi over there, who was, I think, head rabbi at the time, Rabbi Yeshua Berdugo over there, and he, I think, later on become head of Jewish court, if I'm not mistaken. He would sit inside the Beit Din in Rabat, also very interesting enough, and he'd go on to garner various great positions as a chief rabbi in Morocco, as we can learn about. I think he very much was very humble also, Rabbi Michael Issachar was, and many people would tempt him to positions, but he wouldn't necessarily want to take it at that stage in time. I think Rav Shaul ibn Danan would be the chief rabbi before him over there, which is very, very interesting. Now, I think Rav Shaul ibn Danan eventually, I think in the year 1964, make Aliyah and move to Eretz Israel, land of Israel. And now that will mean now Rav Ankwa would actually be appointed as a chief rabbi at that point in time, the Rosh Dayanim, the head of the judges over there, and head of Jewish court in Morocco, and the chief rabbi, 3 prominent positions. Very interesting. Now he passed away on Rosh Chodesh Adar in 1972, Heitav Shin Lamed Bet, and I think after he passed away, Rav Shalom Meshash would become the next chief rabbi over there. Very interesting enough. Now, remember, we said he was the 5th chief rabbi of Morocco, and for a modest 8 years was very, very impressive, of Rabbi Michael Issachar Ankwa, very respectively. Now, who was his father? His father was also a great rabbi, Rabbi Raphael Ankwa. We've spoken about, let's speak about him for a minute. He was a renowned, great Moroccan rabbi who also came from great rabbinic auspices. He was the first chief rabbi of Morocco, Rabbi Raphael was. He was also a great thinker. He was a halachic commentator. He was an arbiter, let's just say, considered one of the most important rabbis in his era in Morocco. I think his Hilul actually itself was in the head of, was some stage in the month of Tevet, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check. He was actually born on 2nd of Tevet, on Zot Chanukah, and I think he passed away on the 3rd of August in 1935. That would have been in the month of Av, respectively. So very interesting. Rav Raphael Ankwa was a great rabbi in Salah. He was. Now what's interesting is the Ankwa family was a rabbinic dynasty. His father, Rav Raphael's father, was Rabbi Mordechai, and his mother, I think, was the daughter of another famous rabbi who was spoken about on various occasions, of great, let's say, one of the forefathers of Zionism, religious Zionism, Rabbi Raphael Bibas, who also came from a great long chain of Sephardic Moroccan rabbis in of itself. So we can see that the brilliance of the rabbis itself would really shine through. Now, I think he was a noted rabbi. There's many of the great rabbis who were great philosophers from North Africa, people that they were rabbis that actually descended also from Spain, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Rav Raphael was known for his brilliant, diligent studies, even from a very, very young age. He combined his studies, I think, working commerce also at the same time. And very interesting enough, he would marry, as we said before, the daughter of Rabbi Issachar Ankwa, respectively, over there. And Rabbi Atzraf will eventually, I think, he would leave for Palestine. Rav Raphael will immigrate, will have a position in the rabbinic court and become a judge. And his name was very well respected in Salah, in the various different Jewish communities in Morocco also. It really, really did spread at that point in time. I believe that's around Hebrew year Haytov Reish Samach. He would establish a yeshiva in the city, and there was many great Talmidim Rav Raphael Ankwa would have, including Rabbi David Sabach, Rabbi Avram David Ribach, another great Rabbi Ephraim Shalom Ankwa, that was, and his son Rabbi Michael Issachar Ankwa, another very, very great rabbi. So we have to point that out. Now, I think over there, the Sultan of France, if I'm not mistaken, who was in Morocco, would recognize him with different roles in of itself, I think, and he would receive, I think, a Legion of Honor, a Legion HaKavod, as they say, in the year 1929 for all the works and efforts he did in various different vicinities in Morocco at that point in time. And it's very, very interesting. He was corresponding with great rabbis of his time in Morocco, and especially Rabbi Moshe Ibn Danan, also from Fez, and various other great rabbis. That's what we have to point out also. Now, I think Rav Ankwa passed away on the 3rd of August in 1935. We're talking about 90 years ago, just over 90 years ago. I think he was 87 years of age in himself. Apparently 50,000 people would attend his funeral also, which is a huge amount of people, and just shows the capacity, the greatness. He was actually lived. People weighed him, let's just say, in of itself. Now, in commemoration for Rav Raphael Ankwa, various different streets in Israel was named after him. And obviously we mentioned about his son Rabbi Michael Issachar Ankwa would go on to become obviously the 5th chief rabbi of Morocco. That's reported over in 24th of June 2024. We're talking about a year and 3 months ago, on Yud Chet Sivan, 2 weeks nearly after the festival of Shavuot. Happened to be that a street was named after him in honor in Har Chotzvim in Jerusalem, a place we visited before on this channel. I think at that point in time, the mayor of Jerusalem, Moshe Leon, and would very much honor him at that stage in time. Rabbi Raphael Ankwa, he wrote great Torah books, including Karnei Ra'em, which was printed in Jerusalem, I think in the year 1910. Another great book was Palmonei Zahab Chelek Aleph in 1912. Then way, way, way later afterwards, the Palmonei Zahab Chelek Bet was printed in Jerusalem, I think through the helping of Ahavat Shalom printers, and that was in 1999. Then there's the Tofa'at Ram Chelek Aleph, which was printed in Casablanca, which was printed through Rabbi Masud Ad Ahan, respectively. The Tofa'at Ram Chelek Bet, that was in the book printed in 1999, and the Chidushei Ram was printed, I believe, all the way back in 1999. So it just says a volume within regards to the great family. It was a great rabbinic dynasty in of itself. Rabbi Raphael Ankwa would serve 17 years as a chief rabbi, the first chief rabbi of Morocco, between 1918 to 1935. And Rabbi Michael Issachar Rabbi Michael Issachar Ankwa would serve for 8 years between 1964 to around 1972, which is very, very interesting. So you can see the families, they became head of Jewish courts, great rabbis over there respectively. At that time, you see the brilliance, they were sandwiched and corresponding with many of the great rabbis of their day respectively. So I would recommend everyone to learn more about the great rabbis and learn more in general in this channel. We're a community here. I think after Rabbi Raphael Ankwa finished his role, Rabbi Haimi Kutiel Berduga would take over at a later stage in time as a chief rabbi, as the second chief rabbi of Morocco respectively. So remember, Morocco had a great rabbinic dynasty, great rabbinic community. I'd recommend everyone to learn more about the great rabbis of the country. Now friends, we're a community here. We're learning about the famous rabbis of yesteryear. If you descend from any of the great rabbis we're speaking about, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information. If you feel anyone is interested in watching any of these videos, share these videos also to other people. Now friends, We're nearing a staggering 7,500 subscribers at the moment, which is a phenomenal achievement. Now, asking a favor from you guys, please, if you can, spare a minute and subscribe to the channel, become part of this community for loads of great Torah content. Work is all being done here. It's a home for all of you. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day and take care. Thanks. Now, also, I forgot to say, we don't just record videos on great rabbis of yesteryear, we also record videos on the famous yeshivot, the famous synagogues that were situated in Israel of different time. We explore the history of it. We also do videos on the daily Tibet, Daf Yomi, Parshat Teshuvah, the Hebrew month, and so on and so more. So many reasons to join. So wishing you well. Take care. Thanks for watching.